Dear students, let us start the fourth module, that is design of tension members. Here in this slide you can see the different structures which are having tension members. Rafter, tie and inner members in roof truss, suspenders in suspended building, sag rod in roof purlin system, stay cables in stay bridge, suspenders in suspension bridge, bracings in braced frame. All these are the members which are subjected to tensile force. All these are tension members. Next, what is tension member? A structural member subjected to two pulling or tensile force applied at its ends is called a tension member. These tension members are linear members in which axial force acts to cause elongation or stretch. It is also known as tie member. Tension members can sustain load up to the ultimate load without fracture, but the elongation of the member at this load would be much larger, up to an extent of 18%, which results in the structure supported by the member would become unserviceable or non-functional. Therefore, in the design of this tension member, the yield load is generally taken as failure load, but in some cases, the section may get ruptured at the ultimate stress of the material at critical section. Plates and other rolled sections in tension may also fail by block shear of end bolted regions. In general, the section should be compact, and in order to minimize stress concentration, it should be so arranged that as large portion of it as possible is connected to the gusset plate. Next topic is types of tension members. The various forms of tension members are as follows. First one is wires and cables. Wire ropes are exclusively used for hosting purpose, and cables are used in suspension bridges. Second one, bars and rods. These are one of the simplest forms of tension members. Bars and rods are used as tension members in bracing systems and as a sag rod to support purlins between trusses. Third one is plates and flat bars. These are used in transmission towers, footbridges. It is also used in columns to keep the component members in their correct position. The next one is single and built-up structural shapes. It includes open sections like angle section, channel section and I section. And second one, compound and built-up sections such as double angle and double channel with or without additional plates and jointed with some connecting systems. Third one, closed sections like circular, square, rectangular or hollow sections. Usually for light and medium loads, angle sections are preferred because it gives a greater rigidity to the structures. Light roof trusses in industrial building, it is to make this single angle or double angle sections are used. Similarly, in bridge trusses, channels, I section or built-up sections are used. For bracings, circular rods are used. Similarly, for suspenders, main cable in suspended bridges, steel ropes or cables are used. For light roof trusses in industrial building, RHS, SHS pipes are used. To solve problems, we need to remember some terminologies. First one is net sectional area. The net sectional area of a tension member is the gross sectional area of the member minus the sectional area of the maximum number of holes. That is AN equal to AG minus sectional area of the hole. Here, this is just a formula of plate to calculate net sectional area, that is AN equal to B minus NDH into T, where AN is net sectional area of the plate, AG is gross sectional area of the member, B is the width of the plate, N is the number of bolts, D dia of bolt hole, and T is the thickness of plate. The reason for considering the net section in the calculation of stresses is the failure of sections with holes. The unit stress in a tension member is increased due to the presence of a hole, even if the hole is occupied by a bolt. This is because the area of steel to which load is distributed is reduced, and some concentration of stress occurs along the edges of the hole. Next terminology is shear lag. Angles are connected to gusset plates by bolting or welding only one of the two legs. Here, this angle section is connected to a gusset plate using bolt. This leads to a eccentric tension in the member, causing non-uniform distribution of stress over the cross section. Since the load is applied by connecting only one leg of the member, at the ultimate stage, the stress in the outstanding leg will be closer only to yield stress, even though the stress at the net section of the connected leg may have reached ultimate stress. This phenomenon is known as shear lag. The shear lag reduces the effectiveness of the component plates of a tension member that are not connected directly to a gusset plate. The efficiency of a tension member can be increased by reducing the area of such components which are not directly connected at the ends. The shear lag effect reduces with increase in the connection length. Next terminology is the maximum effective slenderness ratio. The slenderness ratio of a tension member is the ratio of its unsupported length to its least radius of gyration r. IS 800-2007 specifies the maximum effective slenderness ratio. The slenderness ratio of a tension member is the ratio of its unsupported length L to its least radius of gyration r. But IS 800-2007 specifies the maximum effective slenderness ratio to be the ratio of effective length KL of the member to the appropriate radius of gyration r. Theoretically, there is no limitation on the slenderness ratio of tension member since stability is of little concern. But in many situations, however, it is a good practice to limit the slenderness of tension members. Example, they may be subjected to load reversals during transportation, shipping, erection, etc. Also, in case the actual load in a slender tension member is removed and small transverse loads are applied, undesirable vibrations or deflections might occur. Example, this condition can occur in a bracing rod subjected to wind loads. In order to provide adequate rigidity to prevent undesirable lateral movement or excessive vibrations, Design specifications usually limit slender